What's going on? Week 14 was wild, and there still is another game tonight. You got the Patriots and the Cardinals, Monday Night Football. But we wanted to go through 10 things we learned about Week 14 outside of the Vikings. Well, there's one Vikings one in there. It's kind of rough. Yeah. Also, the whole so right now I'm watching Sunday Night Football, and they still have no idea about roughing the passer. Aaron Rodgers ruined this. The whole body weight thing is just ridiculous. What's Jalen Phillips supposed to do? Levitate? Just so stupid. But we got 10 things that we learned. So going all the way back to Thursday, which seems like 9 months ago, but the NFL writers are on one where they just cut and paste the Brady and the Saints script, and then they put it on Thursday Night Football. So the Raiders just piss away another lead, fourth time that they've done that this year. Baker, who's been with the Rams for like 2 seconds, 98 yards, no timeouts, a minute 45, and they need a touchdown. Boop, no problem. It really is hilarious, man. And I wonder what's going to happen. So, obviously, letting Baker go would get them a compensatory pick in all likelihood. But, I mean, Matthew Stafford is up there. They can't get out of his contract. But does McVay sign Baker to be Matthew Stafford's heir apparent? Maybe. I meing, stranger things have happened. I mean, Sean McVay went to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff, although we can't really talk about Jared Goff this week. Thing we learned, number 2, Justin Jefferson is going to break the single-season receiving record. So, yes, the Vikings lost, allegedly, but Jefferson, 223. He's got 1,500 yards on the season. He's on pace for 1961. The record is beep, bop, 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 boop, set by Megatron, 1964 yards set back in 2012. Jefferson's going to break it. And the Vikings' last 4 games of the season, I think, are going to have to throw the ball, especially if this defense continues to give up yards and points. So I think JJ is going to get it. I think JJ also has a shot at 2K. Next up, thing number 3 that we learned. Bengals are scary, man. Right, so Jamar Chase, 10 for $119 at a touchdown. He's really settling in, jumping Joe Burrow, dropping dimes all over the place. The offensive line is starting to get its ish together. So, I mean, the Bengals, they beat the Chiefs last week. They took care of business at home against the Browns. And I think that they're a team that no one wants to see in the playoffs because, I mean, they just went to the Super Bowl. They probably should have won the Super Bowl if it wasn't for, they had a shot. Jamar Chase was wide open on a fly route, and Joe Burrow missed him because he got pressured by Aaron Donald. So, I don't know. But I think the Bengals are very well suited to the AFC. I think that they have a chance to make some noise, even though you do have the Chiefs and the Bills floating out there. Next up, thing number 4 that we learned. Cowboys slept on the Texans, but they still prevailed. So it took the entire damn game for the Cowboys to put the Texans away. And respect, I mean, Houston came in. This was kind of their Super Bowl. And when you have a lost season and you have a big-time, you have an in-state rival, I guess, as well as a team with a good record, I mean, that's going to be what you focus on. And on any given Sunday, Texans almost did it. They almost did it, man. But Dallas prevailed at the end. Zeke snuck into the end zone. And then he did the pump fake, jumping into the kettle, which I kind of like. But I think this could be a wake-up call for the Cowboys that can't just turn it on and off. Like, I don't know. Next up, number 5. Duval is going to be legit. I mean, Jacksonville could have a shot. Well, no, probably not. But the future is insanely bright with Trevor Lawrence, threw for 368 and 3 touchdowns. Also, I mean, there's some bad blood between the Tennessee Titans and Trevor Lawrence because he was talking ish after kneel downs. Actually, no, this is supposed to be 36. Yeah, they put the bang thing on him. So after kneel downs, like Trevor Lawrence is talking some ish. Also, Evan Ingram blowout game. I mean, we've been waiting for that for years. I mean, with him back on the Giants, but I do think that Jacksonville has put together a very good young roster. I think that Lawrence is really rounding into form. So going forward, next year and beyond, I think Doug Peterson's squad is going to be pretty good. 6. Speaking of good, and speaking of Doug Peterson, the Eagles are pretty good. Yeah, okay, we'll give them that. We were just hoping that, hey, Giants at home, a divisional game, maybe they'll give the Eagles a run for their money, but no, because Saquon was dinged up and was on a pitch count, and the Eagles, I mean, that offense is just nearly impossible to stop. You got Hurts, you got Miles Sanders, you got Devontae, of course you got A.J. Brown, they're getting Goddard back, so yeah, I mean, they are going to be exceedingly tough in the playoffs. It sort of is what it is, but we'll see what happens. Number 7, Ravens do just enough. So the Ravens had Lamar out. Cale Huntley was perfectly fine. J.K. Dobbins ran wild, and they picked off Mitchell Trubisky-Ponder 3 times because he was in after Kenny Pickett went down with an injury, which kind of a scary-looking injury. Plus, they missed a blatant face mask on that one. But, I mean, the Ravens just got it done. Now, if Lamar is back to nearly 100% for the playoffs, I mean, maybe they could make some noise. I mean, you don't really want to go up against Baltimore and Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson in a playoff series or one game in the playoffs, do you? And not particularly. Next up, thing number 8. Oh, same one. Thing number 8. Mahomes is MVP. And yeah, it's not close. Like, honestly, it should be his, and it should almost be unanimous. Where, I mean, this season has had their share of candidates, had some ups and downs. Well, actually, it shouldn't be unanimous. I think he and Jalen Hurts might split some votes, but I mean, Mahomes is just ridiculous, and he is so good that the ridiculousness is just average. So 352 and 3 touchdowns. McKinnon had 2 touchdowns, including that just insane underhanded throw that how many quarterbacks would even try that? I mean, it's just, he combines it's like watching Brett Favre and John Elway and Tom Brady out there. I mean, it's like combined, also with the mind of Peyton Manning. I mean, Mahomes is just watching greatness. It's fantastic to see, man. Next up, number 9. Pretty good. So one of my favorite moments was when they showed Brock Purdy's dad in the crowd, and he's got tears in his eyes because he's like, you can see him mouth like, "That's my boy." That's awesome. Like that's every parent's dream, where their kid shows an interest in the sport and especially football, and then all of a sudden he's making his NFL starting debut against Tom frickin' Brady, and he's lighting up the Buccaneers. It's awesome, man. But 35-7, it was a beatdown. McCaffrey ran buck wild. Now, Debo did go down with the injury. I think it got diagnosed as a high ankle sprain, so he may miss some time. But Purdy was very efficient, economical, $185, 2 touchdowns. And like we said about the Niners a bunch, they're not built around the quarterback. Right? So they're built around McCaffrey. They're built around Debo. They're built around Ayuk and Kittle to a degree, and they're built around that defense. So I think that Purdy will be fine. And even if Jimmy G doesn't come back in the playoffs, I think Purdy has a chance to just sort of be that game manager, which that's not necessarily a negative. Lastly, the Panthers are bad at tanking. So the Panthers started out 1-4, and then they fired Matt Rule. And with Steve Wilkes, who had a cup of coffee with the Arizona Cardinals as head coach back in the day, he's got them playing some really good football, man. 4-4 under his leadership. And going into Seattle, I mean, Seattle is the cat's ass, man. A lot of people are talking about Geno. People wrote him off. He didn't write back. And they go in and win impressively. I mean, it was a really good game. Plus, they're 5-8. But they're 1 game out of the NFC South lead. And remember, they beat the Bucs head-to-head already. So it's interesting. It's interesting, man. How could you go from 1-4 and maybe be in line for the number 1 overall pick, and then all of a sudden you could make the playoffs and host a playoff game? Crazy. Just crazy, man. But respect. I mean, Sam Darnold's getting it done. Donta Foreman. Donta Foreman was dinged up, but Chuba Hubbard had a touchdown. And I don't know how they're doing it. But, Brian Burns is a stud. Derek Brown's a stud. So, happy for him. There you go. But that's it. That's 10 things that we learned around the NFL Week 14. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. We'll support the work. Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.